The latest game from writer-director Josef Fares and the rest of the team at Hazelight takes on co-op once again, but this time, what looks to be lighthearted may be dealing with something heavier beneath, and if the pitch of this game being the first ever rom-com video game is accurate, then the question is It Takes Two rotten, or is it certified fresh? And for full transparency, review code was provided by EA. In the first 48 minutes of a game, you should be able to know enough about the visuals, the story, the mechanics, the gameplay loop, and many other things, and even better, within the first 48 hours, you will know if the game has done enough to get you addicted and whether or not you are going to come back, because we both know that if we don't return or don't want to return to the game within the first 2 days, we likely aren't coming back after that. The latest from Hazelight and EA Originals is quite the adorable game, and despite the heavy-handed topics early on, once you're past the first 5 minutes, the tone drastically changes and the fun gets unleashed. There's something about seeing everyday items on a much bigger scale, because in the first 48 minutes, I can't count how many times we said the word cute. You play as a middle-aged married couple, and by the power of their daughter's tears, the parents' souls are transported into the bodies of her small stuffed animals that she's made in the image of her parents. And my only gripe with the whole scenario is that I wish Hazelight found a better mechanism for getting their parents into the dolls. Despite the dark tone early on, the happiness and fun factor are on a constant trajectory upwards early on, and you can easily see the change in tone with the couple working together, having less resentment towards each other, and likely getting back to the people that they were when they first met. My concern moving farther into the game is that Josef Fares and his games do have a pattern. We can clearly see his love for farms, we can see his fascination with people that need redemption or second chances, but we've also seen his choice not to use happy endings. Josef Fares has shown that life isn't always happy endings, and this is reflected in his artistic choices. Despite how easy it seems for the couple to rekindle their love by fighting an old vacuum, battling a rusty toolbox, and talking to a weird book to reignite the love, I have my reservations that the rug will be pulled out at the end. Josef Fares must have something deep-rooted with rural farm life, because we begin the story of It Takes Two at a house in the country, similar to how A Way Out spent a lot of time in the country and around farms. And diving into the psychological aspect of farms, the country life is all about hard work and being as productive as you can so that your crops can grow, and in turn, you can see growth yourself. And when looking at it this way, I don't think it's by coincidence that the last 2 games from Hazelight feature a heavy dose of farms being used in the metaphorical nature, as the characters are in need of desperate growth and redemption. Although released on the previous generations of consoles, It Takes Two does feel like a PS5, Xbox Series XS exclusive due to its fantastic visuals, which are running at 4K 60, and this feels even more impressive when you consider the split-screen nature of the game. One missed opportunity specifically for the PS5 is that the game doesn't take advantage of the DualSense at the moment. It might get patched in, but using the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers would have taken the Honey I Shrunk the Kids immersion to an even greater level. It Takes Two is very smart about how it manages the skills of co-op, with death not being much of a penalty, although boss fights can be a bit more challenging. The boss fights are challenging, and being able to maintain composure during these times with someone who might be less experienced in gaming is likely what It Takes Two is trying to accomplish. These choices keep the game from pitting the two players against each other and pointing fingers, and instead it keeps the focus on the extremely clever level design and allows you to experiment while figuring out how to solve certain puzzles, and keeps the fun going at a very high level. It Takes Two feels very tight, responsive, and is never asking the player to do more than necessary. Sure, there are elements and sections during the game where stringing together multiple button presses will be the only way to progress, but they are right at the edge of what the genre can comfortably ask the player without pushing farther into hardcore platforming territory. Hazelight finds the line that keeps the player constantly challenged but never frustrated that something might be out of reach. It understands that It Takes Two is more about the destination than the journey. About the only thing that we both don't like about the game at this point is Dr. Hakim, who is the Book of Love, and during the early times in the game, it felt like the character overstayed his welcome and is universally annoying, but maybe this is all part of the design for the couple to find common ground. Near the end of the first 48, there was one area that actually does turn the tables of the game and creates friendly competition between players with their minigame. And not only was this part of the game a welcome break from solving puzzles and fighting bosses, but the friendly competition lightened the tone in the game and in the real world. Around every corner of It Takes Two is either something completely new that keeps the game feeling very fresh or something very clever. We were either saying how cute or how clever constantly during the game. It Takes Two seems to be another example of how Hazelight is one of the few remaining bastions of excellent co-op experiences. After the first 48 minutes, we can't wait to play more. If you think this video helped you make a decision, then please leave a like, consider subscribing, and let me know in the comments below what your favorite co-op game of all time is.